Hello, welcome to this special Halloween-themed episode of Movie Things with Jake Zing. I made it my goal to watch a bunch of Halloween movies this October, and I did. I hit about 17, plus a TV show, a book, and I'm not even, Halloween's not here yet. I've been saving Nightmare Before Christmas for Halloween night, and there's still a week to go, so who knows what more movies I'll watch. But I'm just gonna talk about these movies, review them. Some of them I've seen before, some of them I hadn't before this month. And I'm just going to talk about them and give some recommendations. There's still time left in the Halloween season. If there's something that piques your interest, check it out. First of all, a Scary Movie. I love this movie. It's one of the first R-rated comedy movies I had ever seen when I was like in middle school or early high school. And I've watched this movie so many times, and it still makes me crack up every single time. I just am really into this style of humor. I love Family Guy. It's very much in that vein. And I just have a great time with this movie every single time. Hocus Pocus is one that if I've seen it, it was a long time ago. I always hear people mention it as sort of a quintessential Halloween movie, and so I finally checked it out. And I liked it a lot. It really hits the tone on the head in terms of the atmosphere of Halloween. The performances from the witches are very memorable, and the kids sort of going on this fun Halloween adventure with a talking cat. It's just a fun Halloween movie that is definitely going to be in my rotation in future years, because this was the first time I watched it and I really liked it. It's sort of perfect for Halloween time. I'm not nostalgic for it, but I definitely really liked it, and I'm glad I checked it out finally. Next is The Babysitter and The Babysitter Killer Queen. These are Netflix movies that are sort of like satire slasher comedy movies. The first movie I enjoyed. It's very, very basic and simplistic, but it is effective. It does some things that are unique stylistically. It has some fun kills. I really like this effect they do when like the kids are in the school bus talking and like all the kids behind them are in slow motion. I don't know. I really like stylistic choices like that. And the characters are fun enough and memorable enough. In the second movie, they bring back some dead characters from the first movie in really weird ways. It's more out there and ridiculous than the first, which, I went in with very low expectations. It's not a good movie. It's certainly not a great movie, but I had enough fun watching it that if it's something that you think looks like it might be up your alley, it would be worth checking out, especially the first one, but the second one too, if you like the first, is sort of just fun and out there and ridiculous, while not being necessarily, I wouldn't call it good, but it was fun enough. Next is Trick or Treat, from, I think it was, 2007, directed by Michael Dougherty. I loved this movie. This was the first time I had ever watched it, and I already want to watch it again. There's something I adore about this movie. It really hits the atmosphere of Halloween perfectly. It's just the perfect, creepy, fun horror movie for this time of year. Sam, the little kid with the round sack on his head, is such a creepy, cute, fun little character. I love the way it has multiple stories that intersect, where you just see like a character from another one of the stories in the background of a shot in one of the other stories, and I just had so much fun with this movie, and there was something that was so captivating about it to me. Just everything about it. I won't say much more than that because I want you to check it out if you haven't. It didn't come out in theaters. Warner Brothers pulled it from the release schedule, is what I heard about this movie. But anyway, watch it if you haven't. The Conjuring is a movie I watched 3 or 4 years ago when I got my wisdom teeth out. I was on medication. And so I figured I'd give it another watch. And I like this movie. The possession, haunting sort of movies aren't my favorite in the horror genre. They just don't appeal to me as much as like killers or monsters, but I still like this movie, and it's just a very solid horror movie. It knows what it's doing and executes it very, very well, and I like James Wan a lot as a director. The Haunted Mansion is a movie I had never seen before this month. Even though The Haunted Mansion is my favorite ride in Disneyland, I have my Haunted Mansion ears on. I miss that ride more than any other ride at Disneyland right now. And I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would, because I had heard a lot of people say they did not, that they thought it was bad. And it's not great. I don't know if it's even, I mean, I had fun with it because I like Eddie Murphy. I like Eddie Murphy in this movie. And I liked a lot of the callbacks to the ride. Certain aspects of the story are very odd and not in a good way necessarily, in ways that don't really work. But I think I went in with such low expectations that I was pleasantly surprised in the end. Ready or Not is a movie that came out last year that I really wanted to see in theaters, but I didn't get to it. It was a really fun movie. I think her name, I don't want to get her name wrong, her name is Samara Weaving, has been in a lot of stuff recently, and I think she's very, very talented. She's great in this movie. And, you know, this movie has a really fun and simple suspense horror premise, and it executes it perfectly. As parts of this movie are very, very funny, and parts are suspenseful. I just really think it knew what it wanted to do and executed it very, very well. And it was just a fun movie. It's on HBO Max. Halloween Town is a movie I know I've seen, but I know it's been a very, very long time. And I have fun with it. You know, it's ridiculous in a sort of Disney Channel from the 90s type of way. But if you go in knowing that, you'll have fun with it. I don't think I'd say I'm necessarily nostalgic for it, but it definitely has a charm to it, and I enjoyed watching it, and it's probably going to stay in my Halloween rotation from now on. American Murder, The Family Next Door, is a murder documentary. You know, I don't know if I'd call it a Halloween movie, but it's about murder, and it came out in October on Netflix, and so I included it. It's interesting. Okay, so first of all, this movie is comprised entirely of real footage from this event. A lot of it is police body cam footage from the day this person was reported missing. And then, of course, like, footage from the interrogation room. So it was interesting to see, like, body cam footage that isn't often included in documentaries like this. But I think what I really was missing that narration or interviews with the people with additional insight. And since they really wanted to limit this film to the body cam footage, a little bit of courtroom footage, and the interrogation room footage, it felt like it was limiting itself. I think it was cool to use all that, but I think you also could have done with some more interviews. But if you're into this sort of documentary, you'll like this, and it's unique enough that it's worth a watch. Coraline is a movie that I watched as a kid, and it totally scared me. And it's a really solid, creepy movie. You know, it's like just the right amount of scary for a kid. And I really appreciate its style. I like what Laika does with their style. And it's just very creative and memorable in so many ways. And I really admire a lot about this movie. Hubie Halloween is a Netflix comedy from Adam Sandler. I thought this was a great watch for this Halloween season since it was a new movie, and I like Adam Sandler a lot. You know, he gets his friends, as always, to come act in his movie, and the movie's ridiculous, and he does a silly voice in it, and you know, I just had too much fun to say anything bad about it. I recommend it. I had a very good time with this movie. Next is John Carpenter's The Thing. I'd never seen this movie either. I just heard it was a very effective suspense horror movie, and it is. The practical effects for these alien creatures is very, very impressive. I really, really liked the practical effects, and it builds suspense really effectively as well, because, you know, the whole, like, being at an outpost in Antarctica and not knowing who to trust, and it's a really cool premise, and it's executed perfectly. Next is It, based on Stephen King's novel. I've become a big fan of Stephen King's work in just the last year. I've never read it, but I want to. I've always liked it. It was one of the first R-rated horror movies I ever saw in theaters. I think it was right around the time I started to actually like horror movies. And I don't know, I like this movie a lot. I admire Skarsgård's performance as Pennywise. The main thing I like about this movie is just the friendship between these kids. And sort of these losers banding together and fighting their fears. It's charming in the way that, like, Stranger Things is charming. So I like this movie a lot, and I've seen it a few times now. Scream is a movie I watched for the first time earlier this year. This was actually my third time watching it this year. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time now. There's just something that really draws me into this movie, and I like all of the movies in this franchise, and I'm very excited for Scream 5. I just like this sort of Scream is a satire of the horror slasher genre, and Scary Movie is a parody of Scream. So I love both of these movies. Scream is just a great movie on its own. The characters are just so memorable and endearing, and just I don't even know how to describe what I love about this movie. It's just perfectly paced. There's something charming about it, and the sort of goofy nature of Ghostface, and also the meta aspects. Also in the other movies, especially, I love the idea of them like making a horror movie based on the events of the first movie in Stab. So yes, I love Scream. I love the whole series. There's a video on my channel about Scream already if you want to check that out. Last movie I'm going to talk about is The Witches, 2020 version. I've never seen the 80s version, and I've never read the book. This is one of the weirdest movies I've seen in a long time. The ending left my mouth hanging open in complete shock at what I had just witnessed. The movie is bad. I had enough fun watching it because me and my girlfriend just were cracking up at it. So I had fun watching it, but it's not good. Kids might like it. It's ridiculous, but not... I mean, I guess I'd rather it be ridiculous than boring, but the ending and so much of this movie. Anyway, I can't get into that. But I also have problems with the pacing, and the fact that it's all set in one location kind of bugs me too. It just doesn't fit this kind of movie for me, I don't feel like. And I'm not going to spoil it, but God, the ending. I did not like the ending. Just felt so wrong to me. Just one of the weirdest movies I've seen in a long time. So those are the movies. There was one short I watched, a Disney short. I know I'm not done with Disney shorts, but this is the one I've watched so far. Trick or Treat is a fun Disney cartoon with Donald Duck and his nephews. And it's funny and charming, and it's just a classic. And then I've watched most of Haunting of Hill House. If you know me, you know I cannot finish TV shows. I plan on finishing Hill House because I really, really like it. I like Mike Flanagan as a director a lot. I like Dr. Sleep a lot. I almost said Doctor Strange. Yes, I like Dr. Sleep, and I like The Haunting of Hill House a lot. I just need to get around to finishing it. But there were scenes that genuinely scared me, which doesn't happen easily. And so I was surprised by Haunting of Hill House, because I don't usually enjoy TV shows. I mean, it takes a very special TV show for me to be like, wow, this is a great show. And even then, I still haven't finished it, and I started it at like the beginning of this month, so that's me and TV. And then I read Stephen King's book, The Institute, which is a book from a year or two ago, about a boy who is abducted and taken to this facility where he has like telekinetic powers, and it's one of my favorite books I've read in a long time. It's more of a thriller, science fiction, but I figured it fit in this video, and I liked it a lot. I loved it, actually. It's one of those books I just kept reading and reading because I genuinely really wanted to see what was going to happen to this boy and his friends. So I definitely recommend that. And I think there's a movie being based on, or I think this one's a mini-series being based on it. Yeah. And then I'm going to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas and maybe the Charlie Brown or the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown short before the end of the Halloween season. And then, starting on November 1st, it's Christmas time, baby. It's Christmas time. So stick around. I'll talk about some Christmas movies, some of my favorite Christmas movies. But I hope you liked this video. You know, definitely check out like Trick or Treat, Scream if you haven't seen it. Those are some of my favorites. Nightmare Before Christmas is a favorite. That's why I'm saving it. You know, The Witches and The Babysitter, if you're like actually like really looking for something to watch and you're just curious. Ready or Not is one that I think got overlooked from last year, that I think is definitely worth a watch. And The Haunted Mansion too, if you're a Disney fan and you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth one watch. Also, before I go, I have my Disney Villains t-shirt to show off. It's sort of like the only Halloween thing I had to wear. Anyway, that's my review of like 17 movies. So let me know what you think of these movies in the comments. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.